Ilia Topuria has set Volkanovski up for a meteoric, a Conor McGregor type rise. Quote the big bear, Daniel Cormier. Now, I know exactly what Daniel's going for there, and I know exactly what he means, and I love that Daniel's following this close enough. There's a different contention that I have. This will be Volkanovski's biggest fight in terms of viewers. Now, well, we'll never be told that. It's going out of Anaheim, which is not Topuria's home. It's not Volk's home. It's very neutral territory, but it is a fight place. And this will be the largest gate that Volkanovski has ever done. Now, that's 10 days away, and we'll see if Chael's right, but I am right. This is Volk's biggest fight, and it's against his most unknown opponent. Ilia Topuria is a fantastically handsome young man. And there's no other way to put it. I'm not positive you guys would recognize him in his street attire or in his fight attire. How's he going to be Volk's biggest fight? Topuria has an incredible record of, I believe, 16-0. I know when Mr. Water Bottle named him, he was 12-0. I think he had 4. I looked him up right then. I didn't know who he was, Mr. Water Bottle. I'm looking him up. Oh, my God, this guy's a hammer. Hey, Patty better be getting right into different weight classes. I was all excited about it. Topuria was firing back. Topuria's done everything right ever since. I mean, Topuria wasn't near the name of Patty the Batty then. He's not near the name of Patty the Batty now, in all fairness. He's the one main eventing a pay-per-view for a tie. He's passed up Patty. So, I mean, if you go tie it back to this most natural and organic moment of throwing the water balls, if they're not going to fight each other, they're still in a fight for their own careers, and I want mine to be better than yours. Topuria's got him right now. Think about it in that perspective. I think that you'll appreciate Topuria a little bit more if you do. Now, Daniel believes that you need a yin to your yang, and that as great as Volk is, nobody's gone after him. And I actually don't love tying myself in Anderson Silva. I don't actually love that, but you got to understand, I don't have anything else. That was my highlight. Anderson had a whole bunch of title fights. Man, I had this one. And I say that because when it was done, Anderson was a much bigger star. And there was a little bit of a misunderstanding of how he got there. And I do want my shine on. I got him there. And it wasn't giving him a beat and coming back and get caught. It was putting focus on a match and making a match have some level of interest. Then once people came on, they see something great and they roll with him. I mean, that's what it's like, right? You got these bandwagoners. You just got to get them on yours and then hold them. And then try to attract more and hold them and try to attract more and hold them. That's it. That's the game. So it all starts with eyeballs that I was able to bring in. So at the time that I fought Anderson, he was a villain. He was not a babyface. He was a villain, and Dana put him there. I say, man, this guy's ruining shows. This guy's ruining my business. Dana got been walked out of Anderson's previous fight. It was the one with Damian Maia. Got been walked out of it. So Anderson was not a face, but I came in as such a high heel. It forced everybody to cheer for him. It just kind of changed things, and I'm only bringing that comparison. I'll get off that rig right now, but I'm only bringing that comparison because that's what Daniel's talking about right now. He's saying, hey, listen, nobody's ever come after Volk because they respect him. They're afraid of him. They don't want to fight him. And when they do have to fight him, they don't think they can beat him anyway. This guy, Topuria, has got a better record than Volk. This guy's younger than Volk. This guy's got more momentum than Volk. This guy's got everything going through him. He's even got DraftKings pulling it to a +25, -100. It is the closest odds fight Volk's ever had. Even the ones that were the odds were against Volk. He's never had it this close. So Daniel's saying this is his moment to come out and shine. And I like that. I get it by Daniel. I would just add, because it's all psychology, being undefeated has never helped anybody. I'm including boxing. I'm going to say it again because you're going to strongly disagree. Being undefeated has never helped anybody. Comma. that wasn't mysterious, period. The only time being undefeated is a marketing asset or a drawing and a monetizable asset is if you're mysterious, if you're unknown. That's the only time. Let me just use a great example would be Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury right now has 3 losses, and they're all to bums. He should have a 4th to France. He's got three losses to all to bums. He's better off with those losses than he is if he was undefeated. Better off. Maybe I could use a more recent example in case you can't follow that one. Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngannou Part 2 will be a wonderful and anticipated night of business. Nothing does business in this sport. Nothing. Fights don't do business. Nothing does business except for one word: anticipation. Does not matter how great a fight is. That is a nomenclature. It's a misunderstanding by all of you that get that shoved into your ass from the media who got it shoved down their throat from the promoter. Does not matter how exciting it is. There's nothing to buy after it's done. You must anticipate it ahead of time. And Fury and Ngannou will do great, and the anticipation will be up because Fury could have, according to one judge, did, and by most of us should have lost. Being undefeated is not helpful. There was a mistake going through the UFC for a period of time about getting Jon Jones's loss overturned to either a no contest, just something weird. Taking a reality that happened and saying it didn't happen, that's not helpful. And they were only doing it because they thought it would be helpful, that being undefeated would be better than having one loss. It's not helpful. It's never helped anybody except for guys that could also remain mysterious. Now, I bring that to you because Volkanovski is not going into a 125, 100 situation at DraftKings. He is not going into what is going to be his biggest fight of all time. It's going to, and I'll prove it in 10 days when it goes off because we can get those numbers from Andy Foster. The live gate will be higher than any other live gate that Volk has done. And he's not doing any of those things because Topuria got a writer and gave him his Instagram login. Volk is going to draw against Topuria because Volk just lost. If Volk was completely undefeated, if Volk had beat Islam the last 2 times, this fight is not one anybody wants to see. If Volk was 21-0, Topuria 16-0 is not something you would even discuss. Somebody says, oh, it's got to go. Yeah, save it. Save it, right? It's the loss. It's the loss that helped him. It's not just the brash young guy. It's the loss. It's us understanding that this can happen. It's us looking and saying, hey, you know what? This is a special human, but this guy's only human. That is what has the intrigue. That is what is bringing people in. That is why so often your branding and marketing is more important. If you could have a guy that was undefeated and you could juxtapose his brand and his marketing against a guy who had lost but claimed that he didn't. If you had a guy that was undefeated versus a guy who lied and said he was undefeated, denied his losses to the world, which do you think you could make more money with? Which do you think you would be more compelled to? Which interview do you think would be more interesting? Which guy are you likely to tune in for and cheer against and want it shoved into his face more? And it's one of those spots where there's a very clear and obvious reality. And anybody that can make it in the WWE understands these basic psychological maneuvers. But they don't share them. It's a very protected business. It's a very closed-mouth business. And in the fight game, nobody understands them. And they're not even trying to. And I want to stay on the topic of Volk just for one more moment, please, because Volk has just put out a commercial, and it's just fantastic. It's the single greatest marketing commercial that's ever been done. And I knew it was for a betting company. I wanted it to be DraftKings because that was my partner. Now it's not, and I'm not going to tell you who it is. So I wanted it to be DraftKings, but it was really well done. Everybody there deserves a lot of credit. And it turned out that Volk's got a lot of personality. He's got a lot of charisma. He's got a lot of charm. He's even got a real skill as an actor. So the reason, and what I hope Volk can see, is Volk is not getting depressed between fights. Volk is not down between fights. Volk is not without purpose between fights. What he needs is just something else to do with his time. And I bring that to you because you'll ever have other guys that are doing the same thing as Volk, but they don't have those same feelings. Anthony Lionheart Smith spoke about this. He said, man, you can't get burned out doing it 3 times a year, but there's something else to do. Like, I mean, just imagine that Volk has fights, but then after the fight where he's got that couple of months of downtime, that he goes into commentating, or he goes into commercials, or he goes into making clips for sponsors the way that he just did. He was brilliant. I couldn't even believe how good he was. It's one of the great marketing pieces that's ever been put out. I mean, I'm going to leave it at that, but that's without an exaggeration. But I hope that Volk is learning something here. And I hope that he's learning it's not having a fight, and the fight doesn't give you purpose. A lot of things can give you purpose, but you have to choose what that is. And when you don't have a boss and you got to set your own schedule, one of the great curses ever is, what am I going to do with my time? And I will tell you now that Volk has shown us all how charismatic he is and how talented he is and how much he got into it, how much of himself and how vested he was in this project. I think that other people should be reaching out, understanding he's going to have some downtime, and put him to much better use.